Knees and toes.
Does shoulders have to do with anything?
Because of what you did to my bold prediction. Yes, I'm taking this too far, but I don't care. We're
The
going.
noise is great for those who are audio only.
What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Monday, February 23rd, 2026. As always, I am PK alongside my co-host Phil, episode 416. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Phil's article will be out on Tuesday, breaking down the game even further than what we're about to. And then look for the time breakdowns in the description of the show, along with Phil's article coming out on Tuesday. We got a couple, hopefully a couple interviews. I'm still struggling to connect with somebody from Toronto. They seem to be very difficult to connect with. But I do have somebody locked up for the Rush, so that will be at least out on Wednesday. Hopefully, by the time this airs, somebody will get back to me from the Toronto Rock. I have multiple feelers out, Phil. I'm just waiting for somebody to check their social media sites. Thursday, remember, it is our preview episode to preview both these games versus the Rush and the Rock. Remember, they're playing on Friday and Saturday this week, so we got an episode coming out on Thursday, breaking down both those games. Thank God it's the only doubleheader weekend. Then we go into a little bit of a bye. But power rankings and week 13... pick 'em 13, right? No, is it week 14 already, Phil? Hang on, let me scroll to the top. I might have screwed this up.
14. I think this was 13.
Yep, week 14. Yep, coming up. Week 14, pick 'em on Friday. You can go on X on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to vote, and then on Instagram stories Tuesday and Wednesday to vote to be a part of people's picks. We all went 3-1 this week. Somehow I was an oddball, picking two odd games than both of you and the people, and I still went 3 for 1. On today's episode, Bandits versus Warriors reaction and Week 13 review. So let's dive into Bandits versus Warriors. Buffalo falls 11-9. They have now lost 5 of their last 6 games. Buchanan had 3, Byrne had 2, Nanakoke, Benny, Weiss and Smith each had 1. Vince, 28 of 39 saves. Shots were 48-39 in favor of Buffalo. Faceoffs went to Buffalo. Buffalo was 1 for 2 on the power play. Vancouver was 1 for 4. Phil, overall thoughts on the game before we dive into specifics?
Yeah, before we get into this game, I'm going to throw some slight bragging out there for myself.
Finally.
Before these last couple weeks, PK had been the only one from our podcast to win the Who You Got from Lacrosse Classified. And I was happy to steal a victory. It went 8 for 8, I think, in week 12, picking all my picks, and won the tiebreaker. So that was exciting. And before this game, PK was the only one to correctly ever predict a score in all of our seasons, which honestly is insane. But I was able to finally get one. So big week of catching up for Phil to PK. PK's been the elitist on this podcast for a long time. And I think I just tied you in both. I think you had 1 correct score prediction.
Or
do you have 2?
No, I have 2.
Okay, so I got 1 at least. No longer have
versus
0.
Rochester and 15-13 versus Rochester. So
I thought you had 2. Okay, so at least I got 1. Catching up.
Catching up.
And gotcha in Who You Got, because you have 1 and I had 0. Now I got 1. So big week for me. Not a big week for the Bandits. Yeah, this game, again, I have a lot of hypothetical games I'll go with you after we break everything down, but one of them is kind of about the outlook of this game, but it seems like everything about this team right now is not as good as we want it to be, and is not as good as it has been the last 5 years. And I don't know if it's personnel, I don't know if it's system, I don't know if it's because they're a little bit older, I don't know if it's because everybody caught up. There's a million reasons, whatever it is, but this team is no longer as elite as we want it to be. I feel like watching this game, like losing to the Warriors 11-9, who are one of the best teams in the league, shouldn't feel as bad as it does. Obviously, their standings matter a lot, but it just didn't feel like a great game by the Bandits. And you still only lost by 2 against one of the best teams in the league, but it didn't feel like a good game by Buffalo. It felt like they were able to survive and kind of hang in it for a really long time, but it never felt like a great game by a great Buffalo team and two great teams going at it. It felt like Vancouver was the better team and Buffalo did enough to hang in there, but didn't really feel like their defense was outstanding. It didn't feel like their offense was outstanding. It didn't feel like goaltending was as good. It seems like every aspect of their game is just taken a half step back from what we're used to. And that's just who the team is this year. And I keep waiting for them to turn the page over and be that elite championship team that we're used to. And I don't know if they have it in them anymore.
Yeah, I agree. This was as nice as the 11-9 looks on paper. When you actually watch it and then dive into it, it's not as nice. There was like a 4-minute spell where everything was just clicking. Like by clicking, I mean they were getting all the right bounces. Everything was working that way. Beyond that, it just didn't look the same. I think we're not trying to sit on this podcast, and I think we've tried to do a very good job of it by not trying to be like overly greedy on like, they've went on this 5 straight championship or 5 straight finals runs, 3 straight championship runs. Like we should feel grateful for it. Yeah, but we still got to break down these games and kind of
I hate
dissect.
that take. Like I do want to like I looked at more comments than I should have this week, and I got to really stay off social media because it's very upsetting. But the amount of other fans that call out Buffalo fans for being greedy or being like the sore losers and the worst, you just got 3 championships in a row, like that doesn't make this season any more depressing or upsetting that your team's not doing well just because you've won 3 championships. So you won 3 in a row, so then you just give up on the rest of the season. You're like, we can take a year off, not a big deal. Like I hate that take. It's just so frustrating to read that like, they're sore losers. Like some of them out there are, don't get me wrong, but it's just an annoying take that like, okay, so because they're having a down year, we're supposed to just be cool about it because they won 3 straight in a row. You're just not supposed to want to win a championship anymore. Like what? I just never understood that that take or that comment. Just I saw a lot of it out there. I've seen a lot of it out there. Like as they continue to lose that every single game, like, you should be fine with them losing. Like what? Why should they just settle and be okay with losing? Like just seems like a weird and dumb take to me.
Yeah, I think it would depend on the makeup of this team. Like if they came into this season with a completely different roster, like Matt Vince, Paul Dawson, Kyle Buchanan, all the veterans retired,
right?
You were going through a different switch. But the majority of the core that went on this run returned, and the expectations from this team and the league was that this team was supposed to be running for another 4th straight title. Now they're underachieving. Now we're very grateful that we've been able to cover this team for this is year 5 of it. And we've gone the distance every single year, even though year 1, they didn't win it. We were a part of every single game that the NLL took place, like for the last 4 straight years. So as grateful as we are for that, you still have to look at this season as they're coming up short and they're failing to meet expectations, not just from us, not just from the league, but I believe from themselves. I don't think Matt Vince signed up for another year to be sitting 10 games in 4-6. I don't think Paul Dawson did the same thing. I don't think Kyle Buchanan did the same thing. Like the players that came back expected to come into a position to win. And this is also, I was also in the comments, not really making any comments, just reading them all. And you kind of want to just sit alone in a dark room and just like, what the heck is going on with these people? But for everybody saying like Chugger and, JT are not making moves to improve this team, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And this is not me trying to go on a soapbox and defend them, but who's to say that they're not out there making trade calls? I would be shocked if they weren't, because that's Chugger's mentality to make moves. So I'm not saying that, he's absolved for building the roster that he did to this point, because going into the season, I think he thought, okay, Scanlon can take the next step. Maybe Nielsen's ready to take that next step. If he's not, we got Mike Triolo on the lineup. Maybe Nanico can take that next step. Maybe we were expecting Ian McKay to still perform the way he did on offense last year. Maybe we think Benny still has a little bit more juice in him. Maybe we're expecting Josh Byrne to be Josh Byrne of prior years.
Right.
All those things just haven't worked out to this part. So if you're going to blame them for anything, you can blame them for the framework of the team that they built going into the season. But to blame them for not making a move, I think is a little short-sighted right now because the deadline's not there yet. Would we have
you
liked
need
them
two
to
to tango is the big part
Yeah,
of it.
that was my exact quote was it takes two to make a deal. And there might just not be anybody out there that they might just still be going like with the unified standings. The one benefit there's one negative pretty much that I see with the unified standings, at least from sitting here. I know travel is a pain in the butt and Tyler Pace will go on a soapbox and talk about travel, but it's that everybody still feels like they're in it right now. And that's why it makes the trade deadline so different because majority of the teams are still in it. I think there's 4 teams that are clearly out of it. Whether they think that or not is a
we even
different
talked
story.
about this too off podcast that even the teams that are out,
They're
we
so
were
close.
wondering not why they're going to wait until the trade deadline because then they have
Drive
more
up the price.
drives up the price the longer you wait and the more emergency needs a team there might be an injury between now and the trade deadline that forces a team to be like, oh shoot, we need that replacement player, these guys have it, we'll give you 2 firsts instead of 1 first. Like pulling the trigger now for a team that's a trade ready team might not make sense to them, and they might be able to get a better deal when it gets closer to the deadline. So just because Buffalo is desperate for a little offensive help doesn't mean the league wants to help them or is willing to trade with them when they can just sit on their players and drive their own price up. Like they need to do what's best for them. So Buffalo might have to overpay, which also might not be something Dietrich wants to do. Like they might say, okay, if you want this guy early to help you win this season, we can see that you could use a little help right now. Instead of what would be a 1 first and a third, we want 2 firsts because you're trying to pull the trigger early. We can see that you need that help. So it's probably them not wanting to make a deal this early. And at the same time, it's Dietrich not wanting to overpay for a player that might cost, less as it goes on. So a lot goes into it. And again, you and I would love to see them make a deal, but it's not that easy. And it's just not a simplified thing that they can just go out and grab. Again, we've said Joe Rizzatara's this entire season. It's not easy to just go out and grab arguably the number 1 trade deadline bait that's out there. Like that team's going to hold on to that asset as long as they can, hoping he doesn't get injured and drive that price through the roof. And teams are all going to be coming at the deadline looking for reinforcements.
Yeah, so we understand and feel everybody's frustrations with
we
this.
Have it too.
and the people that are saying like we should just be grateful for it, I think everybody's just they're not used to being in this position yet, and you gotta adjust your feelings towards it. Because I mean, doing this for 5 years, we haven't been in this position of covering a team that's failing to reach expectations and not reading what everybody thought they would be. So we're kind of adjusting how it is too. So they're sitting 4-6 right now. Like I know we're going over this game now and we're kind of going all over the place, but they're sitting 4-6. Like when we went over the schedule last week and the week before and the week before that, we still said that there's a path to the playoffs, even if you drop this game. Like it would make their journey to the playoffs so much easier if they were able to get this win. But them losing here is not the end all be all. Like you're facing them, Saskatchewan. They got them twice. They got Colorado still on the map. We went over exactly who you have to beat. Like for sure, you can't lose to those teams, and then you need to beat a Saskatchewan, a Colorado, or a Vancouver at least once. You need to steal one of those games. So the season's not over. You just got to get to 10 wins. I didn't have time to make my list yet, and I guess it did matter because the 4 would still be on my TV over there. But the goal is still get to 10. So even if they go 1-1 this weekend coming up, but you have to get the 1 win. Like if you beat Saskatchewan, great, then you can lose to Toronto. But you definitely have to get 1 this weekend because we have Toronto pegged for a win. So if you go 2-0, there's your stolen victory. Then you just got to beat everybody else you're supposed to beat moving forward. But we'll start going over this game again. Buffalo led 1-0 until 10 seconds later, King scored to make it 1-1. And then Vancouver would lead 4-1 after 1. It was 5-1 with 11:36 left in the second. Then the hot streak of Buffalo lacrosse that we've been used to for 5 straight seasons. They went on a 6-goal run in 4:14 to take that 7-5 lead. Dixon would score with 20 seconds left in the half to make it 7-6. And then Vancouver would go on a streak of their own in the third quarter to score 4 straight. Buffalo was held scoreless in the whole third to take a 10-7 lead. Bucky would have 2 in the fourth to cut it to 10-9. But with 13 seconds left, Dixon would score to put it out of reach, and Buffalo pretty much conceded, which I'll go into a bit. I had a bit of an issue there. I know it was 2 goals and the thoughts of them coming back or something, but to win it and just basically say, Connor Farrell, go in there and shoot on your offhand and then completely miss the net instead of calling a timeout and drawing. So I had a problem with that. But let's dive into the offense here, Phil. Once again, they failed to reach double-digit goals. And I understand there's going to be so many people that are saying you're going against one of the best goaltenders in the entire league. I've been tired of that excuse for a while now. You have to get it done. You put yourselves in this position. You got to work out of it. The one player that we said was the most important player was held to 2 shots. I thought he played too much on the defensive end and not enough on the forward end for a team that was struggling to score. He still put up 4 assists, but 2 shots on net is not enough for McKay. Byrne had 6 shots on net. I think he shot it like 15 times, but the majority of the shots were off net and couldn't get through. That was the common theme with this offense.
It's because of Christian Del Bianco. You have to find those extremely hard corners, and he was just whipping, hoping for that perfect shot, and he was not getting it on net a lot.
Yeah, and Benesh, the first goal of the game, and pretty much nothing since then. Scanlon looked really good, but he's not a point producer. He's a water bug. And that was one of the issues that we had going into the season is you were relying on a guy to take that next step when I don't think that's his role in this system. Nanakoke, 1 for 6 shooting. Buchanan, 3 goals, but you kind of got to get a few more points across those boards, but then you're relying on guys to put the ball in the back net. Smith, 1 for 12 shooting. It's just not good enough on this offensive zone, offensive end of the ball. What would we say? You got to get to the dirty areas. Where did all their goals come from in that good run was in front of the net. Otherwise, they were headed to the outside. I think even Brad Challoner said those are the shots that Christian Del Bianco wants to see, and Buffalo's just shooting it. They did. The 2 power plays that they were able to draw were going towards the net. And I understand going against Vancouver's defense is very difficult. They're mean, they're angry, and they're tough. They do not let you get to the middle. But you got to pay the price. And 2 times that they do, they draw the power play. The offense to me just continues to be a major problem with this team. If they do not add to it, and again, I'm not saying that they're not trying. I'm just saying if they can't add or do not add to this offense, they're not making playoffs. This offense is not good enough. McKay hasn't continued to play and put the ball in the back of net like we saw last year. Benny lost a massive step this year. As much as it hurts to say, he did. Byrne is not the same player that he was last year. I still think he's not fully healthy. Scanlon did not take that next step everybody expected him to. Nanakoke seems to be in that same role he was the last few years. Bucky is doing what he can, but he's an older veteran. And then Dane Smith, the whole weight of the entire offense is on his shoulders, and it seems like it's finally catching up to him that everything is relied upon him. It's just this offense to me is not good enough with the pieces that are in house. They have to go out and add a piece. And the only thing I'll say is Eric Fennell didn't play on Sunday. Is that a decision? Was there something nagging him because he wasn't on the injury report? Is this possible trade chip? So just throwing that out there. But to me, they have to add somebody, Phil. This offense is not good enough.
Yeah, and I think as we talked about roster construction, headed into the season, again, you're expecting McKay to repeat what he was able to do last year, which was incredible, and then you're hoping players will step up. But to me, and it's hard, again, to admit, I agree with you, because I think you and I are both monster fans of Benesh. Last year, he had 66 points. He had 27 goals and 39 assists for 66 points, and this year, he has 6 goals in 7 games. So last year, he only played in 16 games. So his pace he's on right now is 12 goals instead of 27. You can expect him to take a step back because he's a little bit older, but he's fallen off the map of everything.
I will even say, though, it's not that because he was the number 1 option with San Diego, so the points make sense.
Right.
It's just what you're seeing with your eyeballs. He's just not
slow.
the same player, even if he was last year.
And the rest of them, like Nanakoke has had sparks, but he to me is arguably one of the biggest issues. I know I like it's hard to say he's not, but Byrne I think would be the biggest issue just because of the drop off he's had when he's needed to be that much better, arguably, or at least maintain his ridiculous elite status. And same with Dane, like the status they were at the last few years has been unbelievable, obviously being top 5 in the league. And the Bandits needed them to maintain that within what they have surrounding them. But Nanakoke, 1 goal on 6 shots, and the two big plays to me, the one where he's wide open in front of the net, doesn't even get it on the net, and there was nobody around him. He had all the time in the world to throw 17 fakes and get it past Christian. Like, you have to have that goal in this game. Like, that's one you can't miss. And then the other one behind the net where he was going to get a dunk opportunity. Not sure if it would have gone in, but to me, he looked like he had Christian Delbianco beat, and he dropped the pass. Like, you cannot screw those plays up. And yes, the goal he had was incredible. It's a highlight reel goal. So if you want to take one of those two away, because realistically, he shouldn't be scoring the goal he did, but then you still have one big opportunity that he was able to miss. I think him not being able to step up to a more consistent role and staying in that extreme depth kind of role, I think is just really hurt the team. And poor Buchanan, I mean, we talked about what this team would be like without him. Nothing. I mean, I can't imagine this team. I know he's had some games where he's, been off the map, but he's second in the team in goals probably, if I didn't look it up right now, but I could.
Yeah, I believe so.
That's insane to be possibly missing that from this team if he didn't come back. Like, you have no answer for no Buchanan right now. And I mean, they were able to bring him back, so we can talk about him being willing to come back and how great it is for the team. But I did go over a lot of stats because I was, I guess, kind of bored after this game. But this year, actually, their record when giving up 11 or less goals from defensive ends, they're 3-3. Last year, when giving up 11 or less goals, they were 8-1. In those victories, they scored at least 11 goals in all but one of those 8 wins. Allowing more than 11, this year they're 1-3. Last year, when they allowed more than 11, they were 5-4. So you're seeing where the offense is just gone. It's just not being able to keep up with the defense. Like, allowing 11 goals, a lot of people have said this, like allowing 9, 10, 11 goals should get you the victory. And the last few years, I don't know, I think they had one down year offensively, but for the most part, for a while, they've been averaging close to 14 goals a game. So that would get you the victory if you got 11 or less. But this year, they're 3-3 in games when they've allowed 11 or less goals. Like, you should have a much higher record than 3-3. And if you steal one of those games, you're looking a little bit better. If it's, 4-2, or you're 5-1 in games where you're 11 or less goals. But not only have they not been able to win the games where the defense and Vince have been able to hold another team, but they're also not stealing any ones when the score gets jacked up and both teams, kind of go off. One team's going off, and the Bandits just don't have the offensive production this year to keep up with what other teams are able to do against them.
Yeah, I mean, this is their goal score totals through the season. 15, but that was game 1 versus Georgia, when their defense for Georgia was, if they placed Georgia again, they would get annihilated. They wouldn't even put up 6 goals. Game 2, they scored 8. Game 3 versus Calgary, who is one of the worst teams in the NLL, they scored 13. Then you go to Vegas, you put up 15 on them, but then you scored 9, 9, 9, 11, 11, 9. It's not good enough. 3 times out of a 10-game schedule so far, you went up and over 11 goals. The offense is the problem. Like, I understand there's issues with defense. Matt Vince still doesn't look the same as he has in the past. Like, I completely understand and recognize that, but we've been saying it for weeks now that this offense is a major issue, and it's gone past the point of thinking that they're just in a slump. Like, this is just who they are. I think you and I both said going into the season that Justin Martin was going to be the biggest loss with this team, but I think we also thought this offense has got Josh and Dane and Ian McKay, and they still got Nanakoke and
again, when they brought Benesh in, we were like, okay, that helps a lot.
Another
like, that's goal scoring.
Yes.
That's great for power play. Like, that's going to be big.
Yeah, but this offense is just in big trouble. Like, this defense literally has to hold opponents to 9 or under, and I don't think that they can. Like, I don't think that they're physically able to do that. I thought, the first quarter, they stayed outside. They needed to get inside. The goal droughts between goal 1 and 2 were 18-29. the goal drops between 7 and 8, 1959. That's nearly 2/3 of the game without
Yeah.
a goal. If you combine those two, it can't happen. Like, I understand Christian Del Bianco played unbelievable. I am not denying that whatsoever. He bailed out Vancouver's defense and Vancouver as a whole many, many, many times. But it goes back to the place of you're not in the position to keep getting goalie. Like, how many times have we said that before this season? I mean, Warren Hill goalied him. Zach Higgins goalied him. But it's Hartley goalied him. It's just, it can't be an excuse anymore. You have to find ways to manufacture it. And that was one of the things that we said in our Thursday preview show. You got to find ways to manufacture goals. And that stretch that they had in the second, they were getting the bounces, but they were manufacturing goals. You had Weiss that started it on the break, the diving through the crease. Great goal. Josh Burns' third one, where he was able to get the rebound in midair and put it back. Great goal. But again, that's a nice bounce to him. The fourth one, Burn. I mean, it was a great feed, and then he does aerobics in the air to score. That was a great goal. I'm not denying that one. But then the fifth one, Buchanan. I mean, it was a perfect shot by Dane Smith, and he was in the perfect spot for the rebound. That goes in. Another rebound goal. The sixth one, Nanakoke battles through, and it's that one-handed one. Flawless goal. No denying that whatsoever. But then the seventh one, Nanakoke causes the turnover. Dane beats him because he gets the loose ball right in front of Christian Del Bianco. That's 3 goals to me that were perfectly bouncing. And if you don't get and again, I can't take it off the board. I said you got to manufacture goals, so I got to give it to him. But that run right there, that was pretty much the only offense that they had all game, unless that small little burst of Buchanan in the fourth quarter. That was all the offense was able to generate, was like 4 minutes and 14 seconds. And 3 of those were just perfectly, you were in the perfect spot at the perfect time. So, I mean, it's just not good enough. Like, it's flat out, they have to go add a piece. Otherwise, they're not making the playoffs. Like, I understand you got to win at least 6 more games out of the next 8. Like, it's not easy. Like, it's definitely not easy. If you win 5, you got a shot. Or no, 6, right? No, they're at 6. Yeah, we got to win 5 to get to 9 and 9 and have a shot. But realistically, you got to get to 10 wins because you don't have the tiebreaker over the majority of these teams. Like, it's that simple. I know I'm kind of just going in circles here, but like, the offense, man, like, that's the main issue with this team right now. And I never thought going into the season, I'm at fault as anybody, thinking that they could just make up for the loss of Chase Frazier and Chris Cloutier with the majority of the pieces that they had in-house while adding Ryan Benesh. Because that's pretty much all they did. Was they tried Mike Chiarello. It was an epic failure. Nielsen hasn't been able to step up. Scanlon hasn't been able to step up. So you really only added a Ryan Benesh to this offense, and it hasn't been good enough. Like, it's that simple. And if they don't add, they're done. It's that simple. I don't mean to be that blunt, but you got to be that blunt. I don't know what they can do otherwise, because I don't know. It's not like there's some magic horse or a magic guy coming off the IR. What they have is what they got right now.
Yep. Yeah, we can move on. I think we've talked to the offense to death. So
yeah, let's go over our sponsor of the episode. Let's get in a little happy mood before we dive into more sad moods. It is Tap That Tap Room at 363 Delaware Street in Tonawanda, New York. Is Buffalo's first women-owned self-pour bar featuring 30 consistently rotating taps. They offer a variety of beers, ciders, sours, seltzers, and malt beverages. Phil, patio season is around the corner.
Yeah, the snow that keeps falling.
It's not helping.
To differ.
It's not helping.
The next few episodes may get repetitive for us because Tap That Tap Room has a lot of early March events that our listeners need to know about, but we're going to start simple this Wednesday, and every Wednesday is Books and Brews. Grab a book, grab a brew, and relax. Next, we have a Bandits doubleheader watch party this upcoming Friday at 7:30 and Saturday at 7. And then on Tuesday, March 3rd, is the Ceramic Light Up Gnome or St. Patrick's Day Tree Painting Workshop. On Thursday, March 5th, is the Buffa Dough Cookie Decorating Class, where you can create a Buffalo Bandits themed cookie. And finally, on March 6th, is a Sip and Solve Beer Investigation. As these events get a little closer, we will dive into more detail. But if you want to look ahead for yourself, you can head to Tap That Tap Room's Facebook page, or if you want to find out what's on tap and what's on deck, check out tapthattaproom.com.
Phil, let's go over the defense here. I thought for the most part, the defense did pretty well. I don't have a ton of complaints. Like, my biggest complaint is Paul Dawson still needs to have less minutes out there. I mean, it's as good of a career as he's had and as good as he played last year, he also is another player that lost a step. The minutes and the amount of games that he's put on his body are catching up to him. And opposing teams, I think we said it versus the Ottawa one, they were finding ways to get Jeff Teat on Paul Dawson, and it was killing them. I'm not saying that he doesn't have a spot on this roster, because I think with Matt Vince's trust in him and his play on the penalty kill is elite. Just less like even strength time on the field, please. That's all. It was Priolo's worst game in a very, very long time. I mean, he had no stats, but he also played very poorly out there. And the last negative I had is Mitch DeSnoo. Man, what are you doing? Like, you stole the ball. It was a great play, and then you go down there on 3-on-1, and then it ended up being like you took a shot one-handed from like 30 feet out. I didn't understand that one, especially when you're trying to score. Pull it out. Like, I kind of get you're trying to manufacture, but when you see two guys lined up there and your plan is to go through them, it ain't the right decision. Like, it's really not. But overall, I thought their 5-on-3 kill was great. DeSnoo was an animal all over it that half. I thought the Mitch DeSnoo and Zach Belter, when they're out there at the same time, they're the best two left-handed defensemen that are on this team. Like, I need more shifts of those two out there. And I thought Zach Belter had one of the best games out of all the defensemen back there. Shocker what happens when you actually put him in there. I thought Dooley was actually very good in this one as well. I liked him out there, and for the first time they benched Mike McConnell. I mean, it's the roster decisions as well, like who plays and who doesn't, has also been a question mark a lot of this season. Like the 8 forwards for the few times, I haven't liked that. The benching of Zach Belter when he's a healthy body, I didn't like that either. I thought he was one of the better defenders out there. But overall, I thought the defense did pretty good against a very good offense. Charlotte Beatty's only had 3 points. King, 3, 2, and 5. That's expected out of Jesse King. You held Claridge off the board. Dixon, 4, 2, and 6. Would you like to limit it a little bit more? Yeah, but he's a really good player. You limited Ball to 6 points. Sheridan, 1 point. So you limited their depth scoring. Their big-time guys were limited to 6 or fewer points. They put up 11 goals. That should be good enough to win versus Vancouver. Like, it's that simple. That should be good enough to win against pretty much anybody. The defense was good enough in this game to get the win, and the offense let them down.
Yeah, this new play at the end of the game, the only thing I can think of for him in that play mentally is that they're on the penalty kill, and he's just trying to kill the clock instead of
if that's the case, though, why you
they
shoot?
need to score shorthanded.
But like he took a shot one-handed from 30 feet
it was
out.
very strange. It was very strange. He played extremely well the rest of the game.
Yeah, that was the biggest blip, and it definitely hurt him.
His 2 one-handed flips from like across the field when he's running into 3 players to get a perfect pass to, I think, set up 2 goals. I think it was the Weiss goal that he set up.
Yes,
and
the
then,
second one. Yep.
And I think it was a pass to Dooley, who passed it to
Dane Smith. Yep.
Dane Smith.
Yeah.
Like those one-handed launches across the field are wildly incredible. So yeah, DeSnoo played really great. Again, that was very questionable what he did at the end. I don't know. It was strange. It was also strange to me on that play that, again, I know it's the penalty kill, but I was watching the rest of the team, and the only one around DeSnoo, and again, if he pulls up, I think it changes things, but most of Vancouver was down in the defensive zone, and it was DeSnoo, and everyone else for Buffalo was still in the Buffalo defensive zone, not really getting off the floor to try to push to get a goal. And he was kind of out there alone. And Dane Smith was kind of at half, slightly there to be passed to, but no one was really supporting him either.
It almost felt like they thought he was going to take it to the net, and they stayed back, so they had guys back there. So if they would have pulled off, I think the rest of the players would. And again, I'm not trying to hammer home this play. There was many times. This was just a big moment in the game that we had to talk about. But overall, like 98% of the game, I thought he was flawless.
Yes.
It's very simple.
Yeah, the defense, again, like closing in on certain plays.
Yeah,
they had to be better.
Yeah.
They were still able to get inside on some plays, but overall, against a good, well-balanced offensive team, like you said, I thought they played fine. Like they had good moments. I thought Vince honestly looked fine. Yes, sure, there's somebody you want back, but Dixon's one of the best scorers in league history, and he might finish his career at number 2 overall. He's going to score goals. He's really, really good at what he does. Like the goals he was able to score were filthy. Like they're just great shots, and there's really not that much a goalie can do about them. So I don't know what you had against. We'll go over the goals in a second, but I thought Vince played fine. I thought he kept them in it with a lot of big kick saves. They kept going like low to his left, and he was kicking them out all over the place. So, and like you said, the 5-on-3 that they were able to kill, a lot of that's from Matt Vince making great saves and a lot of big shoulder saves. And so I thought defense and goaltending, while wasn't what I would hope it would be, I don't think was the reason they lost this game. And I was watching Belter very, very closely because he was a healthy scratch recently. So every time he was out there, I was kind of keeping an eye on what the coaching staff might be looking at for while they see him out there. And I absolutely loved his game. I think he did get beat one time on I think it was a pass to the net that he was watching someone that got around him, but the pass missed or the shot missed. So it didn't turn into anything. But the rest of the time, I thought he looked really, really good and finished with 2 caused turnovers, which he usually doesn't get because he's not a big stat guy. But I thought he looked great out there. And like you said, him and Desnu on the same side, I thought they played well together. Wires
That was
had
the
a good
first time
game.
we've seen it for a full game, because the last time we saw it was versus Vegas, and we saw it for maybe 5 minutes before Desnu went out hurt.
Yeah, and I thought they played really well together.
Yeah.
So overall, like you said, like as much as I wish they played a little bit better, I don't think the defense is what killed them. And yes, Dawson needs to be a little bit quicker.
Yeah. I think it does stink that this was a game where Steve Perillo had his worst game in a very long time. I mean, not just because of the no stats, but I'll go over it in the goals in a minute. I think he's got, if I remember correctly, at least 2 fully on him, or the big cause of the ball going in the back of the net. But I mean, your transition was halfway decent. You were getting good chances on there. I mean, you look at the numbers here. Weiss had a goal. Dooley had an assist. Snu had 2 assists. Wires had an assist. So
And McKay, who was predominantly defense, he had 4 assists.
Yeah.
I know he's double shifting, but still.
Yeah, I liked McKay double shifting, and I agree with that take. I just wish it was more like 70-30, especially
he can't finish the game with 2 shots on goal.
Yeah, it can't happen, especially when he was the one that was beating Christian Del Bianco last year in the playoffs. Like, again, some of these questionable decisions, it confuses me. But yeah, I thought Matt Vince was solid. Like, I think for this team to make the playoffs, you're going to need playoff Matt Vince. I still don't think we've got it yet. I think he might be ramping it up, but I think we need it like now. But again, this is a game where they let in 11 goals. That should be good enough in the NLL to get a win. But it goes back to with how the offense is playing right now, we're kind of loading it up on this defense and this goaltender to be like, yeah, you had a very solid game, but we need you to be 2 goals better. We need you to hold opponents under 10 goals. And that's just not something that you should have to ask from your defense and your goalie. I know I keep going back to it, but it just falls down on the offense. It's just not good enough. But we'll go over the goalies here. We got 11 to go over. I think this is the fewest in a bit here. No, last week Halifax only had 10, so this is one more than that. King, 10 seconds in. Dawson just gets absolutely blown by. Again, how many times have I mentioned that this season? King's wide open in the middle to make it 1-1. Grant's, after Benny just can't come up with it, wide open catch. Byrne is just, it felt like he was running stride for stride with him. It didn't seem like he was trying to bust his butt to get even and stop the transit. It felt like, okay, Grant's running this fast, I can run this fast. But it was a great twister by Grant. It was a great finish by him. I can't really take anything away from him. Third one, Dixon. McKay not out on Dixon. He shoots around McKay 22 seconds after Grant scored to make it 3-1. King, Priolo, I don't know why. He just loses him.
He lost him, yeah.
But, I don't even know why.
Right.
He's running through the middle. That should be one of the more dangerous players. Why are you going to double somebody? That one didn't make any sense. Again, Perillo's a great defender. Don't hear what I'm not saying, but this one was solely on him. Whitty can't get over there because he's trying to cover. And people see that and go like, man, Whitty's to blame again. But they don't actually watch the play and watch Priolo just lose King run right behind him for no reason.
Right away. I was like, Whitty, get off the field. And then I was like, all right, it wasn't your fault.
That makes it 4-1 Vancouver. Charlene Beatty's Dooley gets picked, and for whatever reason, Weiss is just nowhere near him. And then he doesn't go out and crash on get on hands. He's wide open, 5-on-1. Dixon, I mean, Byrne is just complaining about his stick being held. Yeah, I agree. His stick was held. But at that point, you're losing. Get off the field. Come on now. I mean, the team is slow to the bench. Dixon's right off the bench and in. It just can't happen. You got to get off the field there. No complaining. Get off the field. I get it. It was a penalty. I agree with you. And I'm not one that blames the refs. It was a penalty. But get off the field. Complain while you're getting off the field. You're
Right.
hurting your team.
Especially
The
on
seventh one,
a penalty kill.
yeah, especially on the penalty kill.
Yeah, you don't have room to leave your team shorthanded even more than you already are at the back end.
Ball. It was great defense by Wires on this one. It was just a better goal by Keegan Ball. I mean, like we always say all the time, other teams got good players. Sometimes these are going to go in. The eighth one, this is the one that I have on Matt Vince. Keegan Ball. I mean, Dooley was there. Vince, to me, needs to have this one. This was the only one I really had on Vince. The ninth one, Desnu, way too much space, but this was just an unbelievable low to high shot by Dixon. It was just filthy. I think even Desnu goes back to the bench and just goes like, I don't know what to do there.
Even Dietrich, it looked like he was talking to him. It was like, "You're fine. Like that's going to happen."
It was bar down. It was a low to high shot, bar down. It was just a filthy shot. King, I mean, 2 seconds left. They can't happen. McKay sealed off. Wires needs to step more to get to King there. Make it 10-7. Those two late in the quarter goals came back to haunt Buffalo. But Dixon's low shot. I mean, everybody's out on him. Dawson he drifted back a tiny bit on that jab step, and then he shoots far low side. It was another great shot. Dixon had great shots in this game that I really can't blame the defense or Matt Vince on. It's just
he's really good.
He's so good. There's a reason he scored over 600 goals in this league and is going to finish second all time. So I don't have a ton on the defense. There was a handful of them. One on Matt Vince. Overall, again, going over all the numbers, rewatching the game, watching it with my eyes, looking at the stats, Buffalo's defense and Matt Vince kept them in the game. And I'm not going to say it again because you already know the reason why they lost this game.
And again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Like the record this year, 11 or less goals given up, 3-3. Last year, 11 or less goals, they lost
8-1.
One game. One time last year when they let in at least 11 or less goals, they lost once. They went 8-1. This year, they're 3-3. That's already 2 more than all of last season. Like the offense is not backing up what this defense and team can do. And like you said, how many 9-goal games have they had? 10-goal games? Like
4.
it's not good enough from the offense. And Matt Vince, you can look at his numbers. So I don't know if this math is right. I don't know what I was doing. I was enjoying looking at stats for some reason last night. But last year, his save percentage was at 79.1 to end the season. This year, right now, it's 75.9. Last year, he finished the season with 922 shots against him. This year, if you give the pace he's currently on is 729. The difference of that is 193 shots. If you look at the difference, like if you took 193 shots away from the 922 last year, his save percentage drops all the way down to 75.5, which is exactly where he is right now. So last year, yes, he had more saves. Teams were shooting that much more on him, which drives that percentage way up. Realistically, I think he's playing the exact same way he did last year. I don't think he's lost a step. And even his goals against went from 10.71 at the end of the year last year to 11.21 so far this year. Half a goal a game should not cost you the entire season and cost you all these losses. Like, that's half a goal. It's not like he's gone from 10.7 to 13.2. Like, there are even 12 or, like it's half a goal a game, and his save percentage, if you average it all out, looks the same. I don't think Vince is really playing poorly. I know you agree with this, but yes, he's not making as many desperation, huge saves that you need him to make to come up with, but he needs to make those saves this year because the offense isn't bailing out any of those goals. Like, teams are able to beat him. He's not making that miracle save, but it's because like those matter that much more this year because the offense can't get enough goals when he does have a just typical good Matt Vince game. The offense isn't getting enough to score and win that game. So now he has to come up, like, the eyes are on those types of goals where he's not making that last second huge save to keep the team in it. And it's just that much more obvious because the offense isn't doing enough. So everything is, like you said, like the defense and Vince need to keep other teams at 9 or 8 or 7 goals because this offense cannot score enough to win games when they're letting in 11 or 10, which is fine. Like, that's not a big number in the NLL, but right now it is for this team.
Yeah, I'm glad you went over those numbers because I was going to dive into it eventually. They're giving up such few shots. So if you're just looking at Matt Vince's numbers, like if you're just doing that, to me, that's lazy. Like it's flat out lazy if you're just looking at his save percentage. Would you like that up at the 78, 79, 80%? 100%. Like there's no doubt. Like Damoud's got a better save percentage than him. But why? Because I think it's the shift in defense. Like they're not able to pack it home and allow him to face the shots from outside.
Yep.
Like they changed their defensive system, which now teams aren't just shooting from the outside. Like that was a lot of the shots the prior years, and that's why he was facing
right.
Yeah, that's why he was facing so many shots, is because those were low quality shots. Is he letting in fewer goals? I think he's letting in about the same amount of goals. I think the goals against average is a tick up. Yeah, I agree with that. But the shots that he's facing now are such high quality shots because the defense is slower, because they're playing further out, and he's having to face shots that are right on top of him. So this is not me trying to defend Matt Vince. I do think he needs to be better, and I've been saying for a couple weeks now, we need primetime Matt Vince. And again, this isn't fair of me to ask this from the defense and Matt Vince to hold the teams to under 9. It's just not, unless you're Brett Dobson and Dylan Ward, it's not humanly possible. But I think the reason that you're seeing the save percentage so low is because of the different shots that he's facing this year than he did last year. Buffalo's not giving up the same amount of shots because the shots that he's facing are right on top of the crease. So if you're just looking at the save percentage and the goals against, that's lazy. You need to be better than that. If this is podcasts, if this is reporters, if this is analysts, whatever it is that are just saying, they're looking at his stats and going like, he's fallen off the cliff, his numbers are way down. You need to watch the games then, because it's not that he's fallen off a cliff. It's not that his numbers just plummeted out of nowhere. It's because of the shots that he's facing this year are much more high quality chances than last year. And yes, that might be a little bit because of the shot blocking rule, but I think it's also because Buffalo's having their defense play so much further out, which is leaving that inside and those low opportunities wide open. But I mean, miscellaneous, I thought Connor Farrell had a very good game besides that one that Buffalo should have called a timeout. Right? Like, I get there was 13 seconds left. I get that. But you play to the whistle. That's kind of just like, let him have some fun out there. I hated it. I thought they should have called the timeout there because Vancouver was conceding the faceoff. I think even Vancouver was expecting Buffalo to take a timeout. At least give yourself a shot. Like, the chances of winning were below 0, but I didn't like that one. Overall, I don't really have any other miscellaneous ones if you do.
I got one other big miscellaneous, which is going to go into the referee calls and everything, but Nana Coke, what the heck are you doing at the end of the game, blowing someone up for absolutely no reason?
Like, I get he was trying to set a pick, but that ain't a pick.
That's not a pick. Like, that is aggression. That's frustration. That's anger, and that's, yep. I'm going to lay you the heck out. Like, yep. It just such, and this isn't the first time he's had a really late penalty that not costing the game, but in a really tough spot. I forgot what it was it was the goaltender interference the other day that he, like, I think you and I disagreed on whether it should have been called or not, but I think Johnny said, like, you can't have bad penalties at the end of the game in the press conference, and that's a bad penalty at the end of the game when you're down by 1 goal and your team's pushing to come back. And I think that penalty kind of laid out what the rest of the game ended up being, because then you're on the penalty kill, you're trying to come back, you don't have the opportunity to take a timeout, you don't have an opportunity to pull Matt Vince, like, you just can't do it. And again, set a pick, fine. That was not a pick. That was, I'm going to lay you out because it's set up perfectly and that's what I can do. And that's just not a good play by him.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with any of the penalties, really. The Priola holding one, that's just smarter by Curtis Dixon. I thought he should have been holding the stick instead of just holding. That's what I've been saying for multiple times.
He had the stick in his hand.
If a defender is holding your stick, let go.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, and it didn't work.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna work. Josh Byrne just got the one time where it didn't work. Weiss hooking, yeah, it was a good call. Never gets called, but that was definitely.
I would say when they originally were talking about holding, I was like, "That's not holding, is it hooking?" Yeah. I was like, "That's hooking."
That's hooking. Smith roughing, I think it's because he got him up high. That's why they called it. And then Nanacoke, the illegal body check. That's more just like Alito just burying the guy. But yeah, the 4 penalties were 4 penalties. Buffalo got 2 of them.
The only thing I'll say, I do think that the refs leaned a little bit Vancouver's way, not necessarily in the actual power play opportunities, but there were plays on the field that Buffalo was getting called against that I didn't think Vancouver was getting called against, as far as like possession changes. And there were some times that Vancouver was allowed to be extra physical that we've seen called in the past, and Buffalo tried the same thing, and they would get called for like pushing from behind. Like there was one player, it was a loose ball where we were clearly like tackled to the ground. They didn't say anything, but there was another one where Buffalo pushed the guy to the ground and it was a loose ball push and it went back Vancouver's way. I was like, okay, well, those were very similar plays, but Vancouver got away with it. Buffalo didn't. I think there were a handful of those throughout the game where I thought Vancouver was allowed to be a little bit more physical than Buffalo was, but I don't think, like we've been saying most of the year, I mean, I don't think it had a major impact on the game to the point of that's why you lost by any means, but I thought they were 55-45 in favor of Vancouver, but not the penalties that were called other than the Josh Byrne holding.
Yeah, that was the only issue I personally had with the refs in this
Yep.
one.
No
Milestones.
no challenges needed, which is big.
Yeah, that saves you some time in your write-ups. One of the possible 10 milestones happened. Kyle Buchanan had 3, so he's in the top 10 in Buffalo Bandits history in points. But Steve Perillo was 3 loose balls away. He had 0. Cam Wires, 3 loose balls. He had 2. Josh Byrne needed 5. He had 3. Buchanan needed 4 assists. He had 0. I mean, Ryan Benesh is killing me here with just chipping off at one at a time. But yeah, that's going to be so many next week, I think, especially with the doubleheader. I got to factor that in as well. But anything else with this game before we shut it down? Again, we're not saying they're dead and buried. The graphic that I already made to put on social media tomorrow, I guess when you're listening to this, you already saw it. They're not done. We were kind of factoring this loss into it, even when we were being optimistic. I didn't have them beating Vancouver in this one. So take it with a grain of salt. The mission is still to get to 10. It made their job 10 times harder to go 6-2. They can go, 5-3, but they need a lot of help then. 6-2 is possible. It's definitely possible, but you need to beat all the teams that you have to beat. Like it's.
I do have my hypothetical games. I know we're pushing it, so we'll have to fly through them.
I'm ready.
First one, because I've seen this way too many times. Hypothetically, Buffalo moves on this year and doesn't go for the 4th title. Do you think, realistically, as far as the franchise goes and moving them forward, do you think anything is different than what they're doing this year? Like you brought in who you brought in from the draft. You're not overhauling the team in one off season. Like, yeah, you could maybe give a couple guys a tryout, but like realistically, we'll say they didn't go for the 4th title. Vince Dawson and Buchanan don't come back. What's different from them rebuilding? Like, do you think they could have really done that much more, or do you think they'd still end up with the same team, just a lower chance of making playoffs?
I think they'd have Steve Orleman still. He'd be in net. You would have had, Evan C. get a few more opportunities so you know what he is. You would have had, Zach Belter play more. You would have had Mike McConnell if they still McCannell if he's
trade.
in. If they still make that trade. You would probably have Dooley in more often. You might have seen Carter Coffey a couple times. Nielsen ins probably more. So you would have seen more younger guys take up a bigger opportunity. But are you 4-6? I don't even know if you're 4-6. I mean, you could be 3-7 right now. I don't think that they would be better. I guess it depends. If Mad Vince did hang it up, did they get Nick Rose? And if you get Nick Rose, you're probably in the same position you are right now, because I don't think Nick Rose is playing out of his mind any better than Mad Vince is.
Right.
That's basically what it comes down to is if Mad Vince does retire last offseason and Paul Dawson does, I feel like they still would go heavy into it. Like they wouldn't go a full rebuild here because you still got Dane and Josh and Ian McKay and Steve Pro and Nick Weiss and so on and so forth. So I don't think they would go in a full rebuild. It's just, were you able to convince Nick Rose to come to Buffalo as opposed to Toronto? Like I think that would have been the biggest conversation. But yeah, I don't think they would have been surprising like 7-3 or 6-4. I'll put it like this. Hypothetically, they retire. They're not any better than they are right now. I think they are what they are, unless they went out and added, like, if they were able to convince Joe Rezateris to come here, if they were able to convince one of the bigger UFAs to come here, if Kyle Buchanan retires, I think that to me, thinking back, I know I'm thinking just now because I didn't have time to think of this game.
I didn't prepare.
I would assume that the biggest conversation wouldn't even be Matt Vince or Paul Dawson. It would be, if Kyle Buchanan did decide to hang it up, who's replacing him? Like, to me, that would be the biggest conversation is, were you able to convince Chase Frazier and Chris Clucci to stay, or were they destined for Vegas the whole time? Are you able to convince Joe Rezateris to come here because there's a bigger spot opening? To me, the Kyle Buchanan gap would have been the bigger conversation of who you would have been able to bring in. But regardless, I still think they're sitting 4-6, if not worse, if looking back, all the big time players did not come back.
All right, how would you feel about this loss if Buffalo had the same record as Vancouver and were 6-3 and the records were flipped? So Buffalo 6-3, you go to Vancouver, you lose 11-9. Are your feelings on the game different?
Is Vancouver still a top team?
Yes.
I would be feeling much different.
Right.
Like
so I do
not,
think their record is affecting how we feel about
100%.
this season because they're desperate for wins right now. So I feel like
that's why Philly was so massive, guys.
Right. I feel like we're not that we're being overcritical, but I feel like the intensity of each game and how much we're scrutinizing each game is ramped up so much more because they can't afford to lose any games.
Also because of the play. Like we went over it multiple times. Like it
Right.
wasn't the 4-game losing streak. It's how you were playing during it. So
Yeah.
it's not just the record. Yeah, the record intensifies it. But what we're seeing with our eyes from that forward group, to me, is the biggest thing. Like if they were playing this way, but 6-3, and they went 6-4, I think our sentiments would still be the same. It just wouldn't be, if you do not go on this stretch, you're out of the playoffs. It would be, how do you get 4 more wins instead of 6 more wins? So to me, I think we would still be having the same conversation if they're playing the same way and the records are just different. It would just be, okay, you got a little bit more wiggle room. You just lost one of the 2 games versus Vancouver for the head-to-head of possibly a home playoff game. Now it's just, can you get into the top 8?
Because they lost in OT to Halifax, so flip that game and say they won, and then you lost 9-10 to Ottawa, flip that game and say you won. You're going into this game with a different... If you're going into
if you beat Philly, you're sitting 5-5. Like that's the one that's going to keep them out of the playoffs, and I'm going to go insane.
Last one, and you already mentioned it a little bit before. I think we both have the same feelings. If you go 2-0 in the next weekend,
you're good.
You're all in. You're fine.
Yep.
If you go 0-2, I think you're selling. I both agree you're selling. You already kind of mentioned it. If you go 1-1, after that they have a bye week, and I think after that is the trade deadline. So I think what your record is going into next week is what your record is going into the trade deadline. So
100%.
If they go 1-1, do you think? Like I say. What do you think they do, and what would you do? Are you pushing all in, or are you scared?
So if they go 2-0, you got the steal that you're supposed to. We kind of already went over that. If they go 0-2, you sell off the pieces that are UFAs, kind of do what Toronto did. But in this conversation, you got to talk to Matt Vince and Kyle Buchanan, all the big time vets that came back just for Buffalo. Do you want to go chase another title before you retire, or do you want to retire here? If they go 1-1, that's about where we had them when we were still being optimistic here to get them to 10. Like when we were being optimistic, we still had them 10-8. They still can get to 10-8 by losing to Saskatchewan. The biggest key in this coming weekend, where you're facing a doubleheader here, you have to get 1. Like if you lose both, your season's done. It's that simple. You cannot fall to 4-8 and expect to go 6-0 the rest of the season, because then you got Saskatchewan again, still got Colorado, still got Vancouver. You have to go 1-1 this is their season this coming weekend. Like if they do go 1-1 though, you buy. You have to go get a forward. Like to me, you have to get a forward this week. But yeah, I think you summed it up perfect, because after this weekend, they have the bye, and then coming out of the weekend is the trade deadline. So you will know what your record is. If you're 4-8, you're selling. If you're 5-7, I think you're buying. If you're somehow 6-6, you're buying everything. Like it's that simple. Like to me, when you have the pieces that you have right now, if you have a shot and you're 1-1 after this weekend, you have to buy. Like I get that after this season, it's probably going to retool. Like I know you got Josh Brown, so I'm not going to say rebuild, but when you got that pieces, you have to go for it. If you're 1-1 this coming weekend, to me that's what you got to do.
All right, those are my hypotheticals.
Perfect. Only 3 more games, so we're pretty much. I know we're right around an hour, but these should go pretty quick. I did call this one. Colorado versus Toronto. Colorado did finally lose one. They went on a 7-game winning streak. It had to come to an end, and Toronto was not going to be embarrassed again. Remember that when I'm visiting you guys on Saturday. Toronto wins 13-9. They outshot them. Colorado got more faceoffs. Colorado was 2 for 2 on the power play. Toronto was 4 for 7. They redeemed themselves. It was actually 7-7 entering the third, and then Toronto scored the final 5 games. Final
goals.
5 of the game in 5:15. Kirst was great again. Bushi, 3 assists. Rogers was 3-2-5. Matthews again come up big. Hiltz 2-5-3. Holochuk had a great rebound game going forward, or 41 of saves. But Colorado was just quiet. I mean, I'm not worried about Colorado at all. Don't hear what I'm not saying. They're still making playoffs. They're probably going to host a playoff game. I think this was just an off night for them, and this was a team from Toronto that needed it more. I wouldn't say wanted it. They needed it more.
Yeah, Colorado's allowed to have an off night after going 7
They
straight.
have wiggle room.
quite a bit of it. I think this is, again, we've seen it in spurts. This is the Toronto offense you're looking for, where the veterans are pitching in just as much as the rookies, and that's what you got in this game. You want an even balance of rookies and veterans, and a lot of times for Toronto, we've seen one or the other, and we haven't seen both. But a few games that we've seen both seems to be when they win. Makes sense that when your entire offense is producing, you win more games, but they just need to find a way to do that more consistently, and I was impressed with Toronto's defense and Holochuk being able to contain Colorado as much as they did.
So we'll move on. Next game that took place on Saturday. Halifax season's done. It's over. San Diego wins 9-8. I called it last weekend, but they're dead and buried now. San Diego outshot them. Halifax got more faceoffs. Halifax 1 for 5 on the power play. San Diego 3 for 7. Again, Halifax undisciplined. Halifax actually led 3-1 after 1, 5-3 at half. Halifax got it to 6-3 with 7:49 to go in the third, and then it was 5 straight in 6 minutes and 30 seconds by San Diego to get it 8-6. Halifax got it tied 8-8 with 10:36 to go, but Watson with the game-winning goal with 8:37 to go in the game. Ulrich, if he continues to play like this, San Diego is going to be a tough out in the playoffs. I don't think that they're going to go very deep in it because I don't think they're deep enough, but Ulrich is very good. This offense for Halifax continues to struggle. There's nobody on the left side that can put the ball in the back of the net. Peterson continues to struggle this season. Hill, I feel so bad for him because he's finally having his career year and he's not getting the goal support that he deserves.
Yeah, Halifax did okay. But like you said, they didn't do enough. Ulrich looked really good. San Diego, again, I know Buffalo just did the same thing, so it's hard to yell at San Diego for doing what Buffalo's doing, but they're still not. They're winning the games they need to win, but they're not doing it convincingly. So like you said, yes. I think San Diego's on their way to making playoffs, especially if Ulrich keeps this up, but I also agree. I don't think they're going to get super far because they're not winning against the easier teams like they should be. So when they go up against the harder teams, we'll see how they do. But I did notice one of your favorite calls was in this game where somebody got, I believe it was Courier got an illegal cross-checking penalty and Withers got the embellishment penalty on the same play. Oh, yeah. And PK loves when they're both called, not one or the other.
You can't have both. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. How can you be cross-checked and then embellish it? It's stupid. I hate it. Last game, Sunday Fun Day, it got moved from 3-1. Saskatchewan just continues to be the elite of the league. Thank you, Saskatchewan, because you put Philly back on track again, which something Buffalo could not do. They actually harmed me. They won 14-6, which is surprising because Philly actually led 3-0 after 1. It was 4-4 at half. And it was 8-6 after 3, and Saskatchewan would score 6 goals in the fourth to win it. Saskatchewan was just, they were like a lion playing with their food with Philly. They're like, he thinks he's getting away. Watch this. Yeah, Philly is just not good. I don't know what to do with them. Like, they have some decent pieces. This is what the whole point going into the season. I'm not saying anything that people don't know. But Philly needs to be a team that's selling, and Buffalo definitely needs to be the one that's picking up the phone and calling Paul Day and going like, you got pieces there, man. Like, what do you want for Eric Fennell and Joe Resisteris? Like, what can I give you for both? Like, I know it seems silly to be calling a 2-8 team saying, I need your pieces, but that's where we are at for the Buffalo Bandits right now.
Yeah, the fun nugget from this weekend. Our
sympathies to Nick Damoud. Is that what you're going to say? Good.
Yes.
42 saves, dude. Like, what is, like, I feel so bad for the guy. Like, Zach Higgins went off and found greener pastures in Ottawa. Philly, do something nice to Nick DeMood and like send him to Vegas or something. Like get him out of Philly. He doesn't deserve this.
Vegas would be nice. Yeah, no winning team was leading at half this weekend. Every team at halftime was either losing or tied that ended up winning the game. So don't have the lead at half, and you will go on to do great things.
Don't take that advice from us. We're not NLL winning advice givers. Is that the right way to put it? I don't really care. That pretty much wraps up this episode. Bandits, or how did we start this? Congrats to USA, men and women. Both games going to overtime. It was electric. I did wake up at 7:30, not because the dogs made me, because I set my alarm. But I was like, I'm watching this, and the amount of people, and I know we talked to a bunch of people from Canada and stuff, so I'm not talking about you, but the things that are coming from Canada's team, like their head coach going, "That's not real hockey, 3-on-3." You weren't saying that when you won a couple games ago in overtime to get to this position. Who was it? Nate McKinnon goes,
Yeah, I saw that.
I think you can watch this game and know which one was the better team. Dude, you missed a wide open net that could have won it for your country. Sorry. I think the better team is the one that's got gold around their necks. And I'm not even that big, like, USA kind of guy. I didn't really care. I just wanted to see good hockey. But seeing the comments coming out of Canada from their team is just...
And, like, that's sports. So, like, I think that Canada outplayed the U.S.?
By far.
Yes.
Like, they were going laps around. It felt like the Soviet Union versus the U.S. in the 80s. And you got upset. Deal with it.
Like, but that's sports. Like, yes, you may have outplayed the team, but you didn't win, and that's why you play the game. Like, yes, you're the better team,
you didn't have Hellebuck in that.
You got to win. Yeah, thank goodness, because he played incredible.
Yeah, whatever
congrats.
Jets are paying him, he's underpaid.
He is.
I also learned that the coaching staff and everybody that coached that team don't get gold medals.
Yeah, I think that's
insane.
That's insane.
That's insane. You went over there for nothing? Like,
yeah.
Oh,
to watch your players win, which I'm sure they're obviously very happy about, but still, I don't know why they wouldn't get gold.
They were like, they're going to cherish this picture forever. Like, I can hang it up on my wall and have the same thing that they do. Like, there's no difference. I'm a gold medalist because I have the picture. That's pretty much what they were saying. But
and
yeah,
hopefully Tage Thompson can bring those winning golden ways
healthy.
Back to the Buffalo Sabres.
And be healthy. Please. But yeah, when Jack Eichel's here and they're going to introduce it, cheer him on. Dude, like, I saw that interview with him almost crying because of how much it meant to him. This organization's the one that screwed him, not him. Like, his comments out the door, sure, you can take offense, grow up a little.
Him and Tage looked like they were having a lot of fun together.
Yeah,
so.
they were having good connections on that power play. Just saying. Imagine in a different world where that's still a thing. But yeah, on the next episode, Buffalo is back in action versus, I don't even know if I have it anymore.
You do.
I do.
New
Jersey. New Jersey on Wednesday, 7 p.m. They're on the road for the next 3, and then when they're in town, it's because of Vegas. So they're probably going to introduce Tage Thompson.
I can't believe that we're living in a world where we're excited that the Buffalo Sabres are back in action.
I'm telling you, Buffalo sucked out all the good juju from the Bandits, and there can only be one in that arena at one time, and Buffalo's got it right now. But that concludes this one. We got a doubleheader preview, remember, on Thursday. Stay tuned for that one. Saskatchewan and Toronto. My inbox is still empty, so everybody from Toronto, check phones. Trying to get a hold of you. We might not have anybody from Toronto, but we definitely do have somebody from Saskatchewan, so we'll at least have one interview out on Wednesday. Phil's article will be out on Tuesday. Remember, our preview episode will be out on Thursday, and then Power Rankings and NLL Pick'em out on Friday if you want to participate. On X on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and on Instagram on Tuesday and Wednesday. So that will conclude this episode. Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Thank you to Tap That Tap Room. It didn't play again, Phil. I don't get it. Sometimes it plays, sometimes it does. Thank you to Tap That Tap Room for sponsoring this episode and this podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Go. Visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Phil's article will be out there on Tuesday, maybe late Monday. Stay tuned for both. Follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure you leave us that review on Apple and Spotify. Until next time, bye-bye.